Hello and welcome to episode 51 of the Ohio Huntsman podcast. And on this week's show, we start off by talking about our new website, ohiohuntsman.com, which, if you can't tell, we're pretty excited about. We spent a lot of time putting that together and getting it ready for you guys. So we basically talk about what kind of content you can expect to find on there going forward and what our plans are for the website. So check that out. Like I said, it's www.ohiohuntsman.com. Then the conversation, we transition into the new budget for basically how it affects the ODNR, Division of Wildlife, and therefore how it's going to affect hunters. So one way that you're going to see the new budget changes is they are increasing the deer tag prices this fall. So the season's going to open. You can buy tags at the original price, and then sometime in October, I don't remember the exact date, we talk about it in the episode here coming up, they're going to increase the tag prices. So we haven't seen a price increase in tags in quite some time, and while it stinks to have to pay more, the Division of Wildlife, which is what sort of manages our wildlife in this state, has been severely underfunded for quite some time now. And hopefully this budget increase we'll start to see some more improvements, better management, things that they just didn't have the funds to take care of. Hopefully those things will start to be taken care of. So basically, we talk about that, some of our thoughts on that, and some of the information that we've been able to find regarding how much extra funds that's going to make available for the Division of Wildlife and that sort of thing. So sort of a I guess you could call it a BS session with Jacob, Jeff, and I about that topic, and hopefully it's interesting to you guys, and maybe you learned something, and like I said, check out our website. Before we get into that, though, I want to talk about Mastin's Deer Sense. So Mastin's is one of our new sponsors, and they have all kinds of interesting deer scent products. So not just your typical liquid scents, but they've got scented candles, they've got scented gel crystals, so that you take the lid off, you've got the scent, put the lid back on, take it with you, there's no hot wax or anything to worry about. Like I said, they've also got the candles, which I think is really interesting, and then they've got your traditional liquid scents, which are a premium scent. And the one really cool thing I like about them is their bottles are bigger than your traditional scent bottles. And so you can put them, they sell a scent dripper, and you can put the bottle right into the scent dripper. There's no pouring, so no risk of getting that stuff on your hands, because we all know that getting it on your hands, then you smell it for the rest of the day. So it's a really cool feature that they have, and the prices are really, really good. So check them out, mastinsdeerscents.com. There'll be a link in the description so that you don't have to remember the URL. Just click the link in the description and check out some of their products. And so now, let's get into the show. Welcome to the Ohio Huntsman podcast, where three brothers, Jason, Jacob, and Jeff, discuss all things hunting in Ohio. Our goal is to be your source for accurate and reliable hunting news and conservation issues in the great state of Ohio, as well as some fun and interesting conversations along the way. This is the Ohio Huntsman Podcast.
Are you listening?
All right, so today on the show, we've got Jacob, Jeff, and myself, and we've got a few things. Hopefully you guys have seen by now, we have a new website. So we're pretty excited about this. We've been working on it for what seems like forever, but it takes time to make something good, right? I mean, Jeff and I were just talking today at, just some of the websites out there that aren't good that you would expect to be good. So hopefully you guys have seen the website. Hopefully you like it and it's easy to navigate, because we put a lot of thought and effort into it. So hopefully it's a useful tool for everybody. So we want to start off talking a little bit about the website, what our plans are for it and that kind of thing. And then we're going to talk a little bit about some of the budget talk that's been in the news here lately about the new budget measures that are going for Division of Wildlife. So, like I said, we've got a new website, www.ohiohuntsman.com. Go check it out. You guys chime in wherever you want, but basically it's going to be the home, the hub, the central location for everything Ohio Huntsman. So we're going to post the episodes to there. There's a built-in media player for all the episodes, so you can listen to it on your phone or right in your computer browser right from our website. You can still listen to it on all of the available podcast platforms out there. And if there's a podcast platform that we're not on that you guys like, let us know and we can work on getting the podcast added to it. But we'll still be available everywhere we're available today. But now you can find everything easily on ohiohuntsman.com. So we're still on, Apple Podcast, Google Play, Google Podcast, Spotify. We even upload our episodes to YouTube. So if you like using YouTube or having YouTube playing in the background, you can listen to the episodes that way. All of the Android, I don't know that I'm going to claim all of the Android podcast players because, there's tons of them out there, but I'm pretty sure all of the big ones, Castbox, Player FM, Podcast Republic, the list goes on and on. We should be on Podcast Addict. We should be on all of those. We're on TuneIn. We're on iHeart. So everywhere.
You can also find our the audio from our episodes on YouTube.
Right.
So
I already said that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, man. Pay attention. You even listen to our show, bro?
Apparently not. I could have swore you didn't say YouTube.
Jake, who's right here, man?
Jason said YouTube, as he started with YouTube.
Oh, okay.
This is one of the first ones I said, man.
Yeah.
All right, so we're on YouTube twice. The other place that you may or may not be aware of, if you go to our highlights on Instagram, you've probably seen this, but you can have, if you have an Amazon Alexa device, Amazon Echo device, Alexa personality, however you say it, you can ask Alexa to play the Ohio Huntsman podcast. So if I remember correctly, you have to have the TuneIn skill added to Alexa, but you can then say, Alexa, play the Ohio Huntsman podcast, and she will play the most recent episode, and then I think we'll continue to play through the list of episodes, I think. Don't quote me on that, but what's important here is you can have Alexa play the podcast for you if you want to listen while you're doing dishes or whatever you like. This has turned into a long tangent of where the podcast is available.
Yeah. Also,
from
you can do
the website.
You can do the same thing on your Google Home. If you have a Google Home and not an Alexa.
Yes, good point. So the podcast is still in all of those places, but the website will be sort of the hub for all of the excitement and entertainment. So that's one thing that's going to be there. Another thing that's on the podcast, on the website, is there's a sort of who we are section. So you folks that listen every week, you've probably heard things. You've kind of gotten to a feel for who each one of us are and things like that. But if you're new or if you're looking for a little more details, there's a short write-up on each of us, a little bit about our families, that sort of thing. So you can go check that out. And another big thing that's on the website is all of our apparel. So you guys have probably seen or heard us talk about the Eat Local shirts. So they've got a picture of a big giant buck, the outline of the state of Ohio, and they say Eat Local. Really cool shirts. We get a lot of good feedback on those. People seem to like them. But we've also got some new designs that we released the day we released the website. They're really cool in my opinion. They use part of our new logo. So we've also got a new logo that we launched when we launched the new website. And so it's kind of hard to explain what a shirt looks like through podcast, but just go to ohiohuntsman.com, click the apparel tab. We've got men's sizes, women's sizes, and even some youth sizes. So check them out. That'll all be housed on there. In addition, content that's not on there yet is going to be any like this topic that we're going to talk about today. We might do a short write-up on that you guys could then refer to about the budget and how it's going to affect Division of Wildlife, how it's going to affect tag prices, that kind of thing. We might write up an article on that you guys can refer back to. I know one thing that I'm planning to put on there is like a DIY sous vide cooker. So if you guys, if you haven't heard of sous vide, it's apparently they use it in the restaurant industry, but it's sort of a way to make a hot water bath, if you will, and you can hold meat. You put meat in a plastic bag, a vacuum pack bag or something like that. Put it in this hot water bath, and it'll hold it at like a medium, and you can leave it in there for hours, and it'll just hold it at 150 degrees or something like that. When you're ready to eat, you pull them out, cut this bag open, throw them on a hot grill to get that sear, and you're ready to eat. Instead of having to get home from work, throw everything on the grill, all of that, you can kind of. So anyway, that's a short kind of crummy description of a sous vide. But typically, if you want to do sous vide at home, you've got to buy one of these, $80, $100, $150 sous vide cookers. And I'm working on doing a write-up on a DIY sous vide. I haven't tested it yet, so hopefully it works. I think it's going to work. But that kind of stuff, I guess, is an example of some of the other stuff that you should expect to find on the website here in the coming future. And just more interesting and fun articles like that. Anything that comes out from the ODNR Division of Wildlife, we'll try to do a quick write-up on it so that you guys have something to refer to. Versus, what we've done up to this point is posts on social, which, as we all know, if you don't save it or somehow copy the link to it, sometimes finding that stuff again is next to impossible.
Right.
So
yeah. It'll be like a good home.
Yes.
Good spot to store all that interesting articles, because we're putting a lot of work into finding these good information to share with everybody, and then it disappears off the Facebook feed or the Instagram feed within a few hours to a day. So this will be a place where you can go back. If you read the article and then want to send it to a buddy or show a buddy, it'll be there. You can locate it.
Right. Because as you've started to hear in our intro, our goal is to be your source for not just deer hunting, any hunting news, conservation issues in Ohio. And so right now, like Jake said, those things kind of come and go on social, and then they're gone. So what you'll probably start to see, or may have already seen already, is instead of a social post, there'll be a social post, but a link back to sort of a home for that content on our website. That's the idea. Make it better, easier for you guys to find the content, refer back to it when you need to or want to. And you're not trying to find some social post that you saw one day while scrolling through while you're sitting on the can or something, So, you guys want to add anything about the website? Anything that you like about the website that you want to comment on, or what your hopes are for it?
I think you fairly covered everything that's on there and what we hope to be on there. So, and yeah, we're probably going to be getting new merch over time. So keep checking back at the merch.
Great point, because as soon as we launched the website, we almost immediately started getting feedback from you guys on, hey, I'd love to have a hoodie, but I'd like it in green, or, just asks from you guys of, oh, I'd like to have decals for my truck or, whatever. So we're working on that stuff. We're taking all that feedback and working on it. So like Jeff said, stay tuned. Hopefully we'll have some of that stuff rolling out here in the very near future. And the other thing I'm working on, because I want one so bad, is an Ohio Huntsman hat. So I'm going to start working on that, working on embroidery and figuring out, wading through all of that. So be patient, stay tuned, and hopefully, like Jeff said, we've got more design ideas and just sort of expanding that line. Right now it's t-shirts, hoodies, long sleeves, but we're working on decals, we're working on hats, we're working on more designs, so there's more to come. So I think that wraps up the website. Now we want to talk a little bit about budget stuff, which at first sort of, budget is kind of, while it's not a 4-letter word, it's kind of, a lot of people don't like to talk about budgets, but we're going to do it anyway. Mostly because it's important. It affects us all, especially this sort of round of budgets. So basically, you guys may have seen or will start to see there's going to be some increases in tags and license fees. And my understanding, and I am not an expert on this, which is why I'm working on getting somebody from the Sportsman's Alliance on to talk to us about this. But my understanding is the Division of Wildlife has been operating with under a shortfall in budget. They don't have enough money to take care of the things that they need to take care of. I think Sportsman's Alliance was estimating it at like $105 million deficit or something like that in 10 years. Did you guys see that?
Yeah. I thought the number was a little bit higher. I thought it was 120, but yeah,
okay.
Over 10 years.
Yeah.
They were operating at a deficit.
Right. So the Division of Wildlife operates under the umbrella of the ODNR, and they get little to no tax money. They are essentially funded entirely from the sale of hunting and fishing licenses and deer and turkey permits. So, and they get part of the excise money from the sale of firearms, ammunition, basically Pittman Robertson money, right? Is that how you guys understand it?
Yes. Yep.
So all of the expenses, they haven't seen an increase in any of this stuff since let me check my notes here. I wrote it down somewhere. Since 2004, other than in 2017, they increased. There was a slight increase in the non-resident deer permit price. Is that correct?
In 2017, what was that increase? Did it go from they paid the same for deer tags up to the current price, or was it already an elevated price and then they had to pay it increased from that? Do you know?
Like in 2017, they were paying the same as a resident, and then they increased it to what it is now?
Yeah, I know for the longest time, the only additional cost for a non-resident hunter was just to buy the license. Then everything was the same for their tags.
The article I was reading said that the non-resident deer tag price remained unchanged at $76.96.
Right, yeah. For this current increase?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I'm assuming in 2017 is when they bumped it up to $76.96. Right, what it was prior to that, though, I don't know.
Okay.
So basically, they've been trying to manage all of the state's wildlife resources from 2004 money and haven't seen any increases, essentially any increases since then. As you guys all know, everything has continued to get more expensive since 2004, but they've got no funding increases because that money comes from We the Hunter, and it has to go through this budget approval process, and it just hasn't happened. So while it stinks that we're going to have to pay more, it's also, short-term pain for long-term gain. It's going to be better, or it should be. I'm hoping it's going to be better in the long run. Where the deer tag prices in this new budget are going to go up from $24 up to $31.21, or not 21, $31.20. Is that what you guys saw?
Yep, that's correct. Yep.
So not a whole lot more, but the nice thing about this is they are anticipating the budget increases on these items to generate roughly $4 million in additional revenue annually, which should help. So what do you guys, I guess before I continue rambling on sort of what I read in this article and what I've found through my research so far, what are your guys' thoughts on that?
I just found, again, this isn't straight off the ODNR's website, so this is someone else transferring information. So I guess I can't speak to the validity of it. It was just a quick search, but about the non-resident license fees and tag fees. It's, by what I'm seeing here, it said that they paid the $24 for a deer tag prior to 2018, and then it has now went up. And this says by the year 2020, it's supposed to be up to $74, which it might already be there. And their license, like their actual general license, is supposed to continue to go up according to this. They went up, and by 2020, it's going to be 174. Do we know what it is? Right? Is that what it? I don't even know what it is right now. I don't pay it, so.
I did a quick search
I think
and thought
okay.
I thought I saw right now it's $180.96 for a non-resident license.
So it's even higher than that. Okay, so the license. And what's their deer? Is their deer tag at $74, or is it higher than that?
It's currently at $76.96.
76. So yeah, this is completely false information. Then sorry, this is useless to us.
That's why you got to be careful about what you read online.
Right, which is why we're doing what we're doing, because you can find some bogus stuff. So
yeah.
I was just trying to get some clarity as to non-resident stuff, because we don't obviously pay that, but we do have some non-resident listeners. We have people that listen outside of Ohio, so I just was trying to get some information, but this did us no good. So sorry to ramble.
Yeah. Well, and kind of getting back to the topic a little bit. So this is estimated to increase revenues by $4 million. So this is only a step in the right direction, because $4 million annually over 10 years is $40 million, and our deficit is over $100 million. So it is only a step in the right direction, but it is a big step in the right direction. Yeah,
and one of the other things that this budget increase is going to allow for is they've got $47 million earmarked for the purchase of AEP recreation land. So I think last year if I read the article right, I think they purchased something like 6,000 acres. This money should purchase another 25,000 of the remaining 50,000 acres. So that'll be that should lock up more land. I mean, because we've been using AEP land as public land, but it's private land. It's been private land, but they've just allowed public hunting, public access on it. Once the state owns it, then it should definitely be locked up for public access for, I don't know, as long as we'll be around, I would imagine. So I'm excited to hear that.
Yeah. And one thing is that $74 million is not official yet. It has been earmarked, but it hasn't been officially allocated.
47 million.
What did I say?
74.
Oh, sorry. 47 million. It has not been officially allocated yet. So please keep pushing your representatives to get that money officially allocated and get the purchase of the acres through.
And if you want, I would encourage people to follow the Ohio backcountry hunters and anglers, because they are on top of this AEP stuff, I think, better than anybody. And so when there's an important moment where we need to be pushing, they will let people know, and we'll try to relay that information, but they are kind of the go-to source for, hey, there's something we need to do in this moment to support public lands. So I sort of try to get my information from them, because they've got their finger on the pulse of all of that and are really working on those things. So check them out for information on that. And like Jeff said, it's not a done deal, so let's not, don't count your chickens before they hatch, sort of thing, One thing, I guess, as I was reading this, and because of the comments that we've gotten recently, before I get into that, I just saw one of my notes. So these budget increases, according to the article I read, John Window, who you guys heard last week on the podcast talking about the ODNR controlled hunts, he was quoted in this article saying that these price increases are going to go into effect on October 16th. So I'm not sure how, I guess, the deer tag prices are going to increase in the early part of season. So if you want to save some money this year, I don't know. Maybe you want to wait and spend the extra money and get the Division of Wildlife some of that extra revenue. Or maybe you want to save some money this year. And I think the way I'm reading this, you should be able to buy your tags prior to October 16th at the previous price, the $24 price, versus the $31.20 new price effective October 16th. So just something to point out, something to think about. But after that point, they're all going to be $31.20.
Right, and that affects deer tags and fall turkey tags. The price of fall turkey tags is also going up. For residents, it's going from $24 to $31.20, same as the increase in the deer tags. And for non-residents, the price of a fall turkey tag will be, and when the spring turkey tag comes available, will be going from $29.12 to $38.48. So you can get before the 16th, October 16th, you can get both of those tags what will currently be a discounted price. After that, the price hike will go into effect.
And I'm not sure when because the fishing license prices are going up as well, but this article I read said they didn't have a date for when those prices were going to go into effect. Did you, Jeff, were you able to find when that stuff is planned to go into effect for fishing?
I don't believe they've announced when the fishing license hike will take place. I'm assuming, and this is just an assumption, that it's probably going to go into effect at the beginning of the year, because they don't want to. That would be difficult to switch, mid-year, calendar year.
Oh, I see.
But that's just an assumption.
Okay. All right. Hey, I want to pause here for a quick second and talk about Monster Whitetail Grub. They sponsor the Ohio Huntsman podcast, so we really appreciate that. And they have everything that you would need from a deer feed standpoint. So they've got straight mineral, they've got flavored corn, and then they've got their premium product, which is just their Monster Whitetail Grub feed. And it's got long range attractant, so it's got a flavor in it. It's got mineral mixed in. It's got some corn mixed in, but it's a textured feed, so the deer eat it slower. And then once it is gone, like I said, there's that powdered mineral in there that leaches into the soil, so the deer continue to come back even after the physical feed is gone. So it's a great option if you want to use something this fall to hunt over. So check them out. There'll be a link in the description. You can check them out, check out all their products, and maybe it'll help you get on some deer this fall. So from this, I guess I kind of want to open the can of worms that is non-resident prices. So I saw because the resident prices are going up. In this article, they talked about the non-resident prices of $76.96. And so it got me curious because the article even mentioned that even after the increase, that Ohio's non-resident prices were still a bargain compared to other destination deer hunting spots. So I started doing some quick Google searches, and you'll have to forgive me because these, like I said, were just quick Google searches. It wasn't like I was drilling through the site and selecting my options, but from some of the, I guess, destination deer hunting states, from what I'm seeing, it is still a massive savings. It is still a massive discount, I guess, for non-residents to come to Ohio, because after the $180.96 license and the $76.96 either sex deer tag, you come to a grand total of $257.90. Let's call it $260 for a non-resident to come. And from a couple quick Google searches, Illinois for a non-resident, I think, is somewhere in the neighborhood of $410 for a non-resident to come hunt deer. Iowa non-resident is like $644 plus some fees, some handling fees, if you will. So
right, and I'm pretty sure Iowa. I'm sure there's probably some places, but that's all lottery draw too, which I'm sure you apply for that and pay more money.
Right. So it's
I mean, I would definitely say there's room for growth in terms of non-resident. If you want to put Ohio in the same category as the other quote-unquote big buck states, which based on the last few years and the record deer coming out of Ohio, I'd say we have a place at the table. I mean, it definitely, like you said, it's a can of worms. I'm not sure, I don't know. I don't want to price any hunter out of hunting.
Right.
But at the same time, I mean, if it's a destination product for the state of Ohio, if our deer, our big giant bucks are a destination hunting spot for out-of-staters, we need to start capitalizing on that on some level. I know there's a lot of pushback and concern about leasing and guys leasing all the land, and that's driving up prices. And, there's not a whole lot you can do about that. Land is a fair market thing. I mean, if out-of-state guys have millions of dollars to buy huge chunks of land and use it to lease, that's, we live in America. They're allowed to do that. But in terms of out-of-state tags, I feel like we are still by far the most affordable, especially for the quality and quantity, really, of deer that we have to offer. We don't have the hunting pressure that some of the other surrounding states, Pennsylvania, Michigan, they have so many hunters that their deer just don't grow because there's just too many guys putting eyes on them. So, I mean, right now we're kind of in the glory days of big bucks in Ohio. I mean, with movement towards more deer management and herd management, we're growing some giants, and I wouldn't be opposed necessarily to the ODNR treating it that way. I don't know, but like I said, that's a touchy subject because I don't know.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And it's like you said, it's touchy because us as resident hunters, it's easy to say, yeah, increase the non-resident prices. That's no skin off my back, right?
Right.
But the ODNR, they've got to sort of balance, right? Like, it's a supply and demand problem, right? If you increase the prices, you are going to, like you said, price some people out of the market. And even though you've increased the prices, you're going to lose that revenue.
Right. And it's not even just the tag revenue. I mean, out-of-staters are coming in, as we've said before. They're getting hotels. They're shopping at the restaurants, the gas stations.
Right.
I mean, it's
Right.
some of these small towns, the only reason for the whole year that they probably are out of the red is because of deer season. They're
Right.
in the middle of nowhere, and they get an influx of 1,000 out-of-state guys over, just using their hotels, their
Yeah.
restaurants, their bars. There's a lot of other things at play more than
Right.
just selling a deer tag or a license.
Right. Opening day
Right,
gun
that's-
season is their Black Friday.
Yeah, that's where I wanted to kind of jump in and kind of say, I don't think so much of our problem. I mean, Ohio is a bargain hunting state. That's our identity. It really helps our economy to be a bargain hunting state. Where the problem I think really lies is the ODNR isn't getting their fair share of that economic boom that they are causing. They're only getting tag money. If we really want to fix this problem, we probably need to come up with a hotel tax for that the ODNR is getting a portion of in certain areas of the state, or something like that, so that they can get a portion of this economic boom that they are causing.
Now, when you say ODNR, are you talking Division of Wildlife or
I mean,
ODNR as a whole?
It could be earmarked to specifically the Division of Wildlife, but I mean, most of the time the stuff, the funds are going to the ODNR as a whole and then allocated out.
Okay.
I mean, because this is probably the same with all of, people are coming to Hocking Hills and, spending money to hike, but there's no tax that's really funding those parks either from, the hotels or whatever.
Right.
If they're not staying on park property, then the park isn't really making money or getting a cut of the revenue that they're producing.
Right, I see. So at least some portion of that money, or depending on how they set it up, maybe it's a time of year, maybe it's
Right. Yeah.
any revenue generated during gun season or whatever, that's
Right.
Division of Wildlife money or whatever it needs to be.
Right.
But that would definitely, that would be a way, because like you said, this increase is still a shortfall in budget requirements. So
Right.
that would be a way to capture some of that money to fill out the budget without charging hunters more. I guess maybe they'd end up paying if you're a traveling hunter, and it's going to be a hotel tax or something like that. Like, the hotels aren't just going to eat that cost, right? They're going to reflect it in their prices, but so it's not a tag and license increase. It's that everybody's going to pay. It's a traveling hunter staying in a hotel. Therefore, like you said, maybe it favors non-resident hunters. That's another way to make them pay a little bit more.
Right.
If they're going to a lodge or something, maybe not. But it's I don't know. It's an interesting thought. And I guess I would say, like you said, Ohio being a sort of budget-friendly deer state or budget-friendly hunting state, that all makes sense. I mean, we don't have tons and tons of public land. Neither does Iowa. But I don't know that we have the class or I mean, we don't get me wrong. We've got some giant Iowa class deer, but they call Iowa the land of giants for a reason, right? It's prime time deer. It's the deer hunting mecca, right? Like it, or at least that's the way it's made out on the old TV,
Yeah, I mean, I think we have deer just as big as they have there. They just have they've done because they kind of limit opportunity. they have a better age structure in
Right.
terms of, I mean, when you go out in Ohio, there's going to be one giant or two giants in your area. In Iowa, there's 15 or 16 because, you know what I mean? They structure it so that there's just so many big deer out there versus, the one giant that someone in your county might kill this year that'll be 200 inches.
Yeah.
In Iowa, there's a
And we'll all
200
hear
incher.
about it.
Right. In Iowa, there's a 200 incher on every property. I'm exaggerating, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I get what you're saying. And so where I was going with that is, I'm not saying we need to increase non-resident prices to Iowa levels. If we want to sort of maintain this, Ohio is a budget-friendly spot. We're going to continue to try and capture some of that non-resident revenue. But it does look like there's room there to bump the non-resident prices up a little more. And, it's still the cheapest sort of destination hunting spot, but it's, maybe marginally cheaper versus like hundreds of dollars cheaper.
right.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah. Another place where there may be some room for the ODNR to bump up non-resident and even resident fees is Lake Erie. Lake Erie is a destination fishing place.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to ask you because you probably would know more about that. But how does the payment
and it's
structure?
A bargain.
Right. How does that come back? You know what I mean? Like, obviously, being a resident, I can buy my fishing license and go. You don't buy fish tags. You know what I mean? So how does the ODNR, the Division of Wildlife, capitalize on that, or do they not at all? Really, like these charters, do they pay a fee? Part of the fee they charge for a daily feed, does any of that go back to the ODNR or the Division of Wildlife, or does anyone know? I'm unfamiliar with the whole process on fishing in Lake Erie.
Yeah, I honestly don't know if they have to pay an additional fee back to the, Division of Wildlife or anything like that or not.
Because I know, just the only thing I know is I've went deep sea fishing off in the Gulf of Florida, and I know that has built in kind of like a you buy your 1 day license or whatever to do it, but I think also built in there, I'm pretty sure, is some sort of a usage tax or fee because you're using their resources. Then you pay that. It's just built into your price. You don't even know you're paying it, but I'm pretty sure there's a fee in there that they kind of tag in there because the different charter boats then have to turn a percentage over to the state of Florida in order to run their business or, run as a charter. So I was wondering if there's anything like that for, because that's starting to become bigger and bigger, the charter trips out on the lake for perch, walleye, whatever it is.
Yeah, I honestly don't know if there is a fee or not. But I do know that, the quality of fish coming out of Lake Erie is becoming better and better. Perch, walleye, smallmouth especially. Lake Erie is becoming a pretty fantastic smallmouth fishery.
Well, and you said earlier it's a bargain. Can you elaborate on that? Because I'm not, like Jacob, I'm not real versed on fishing in the state.
Yeah, I don't know the exact numbers, but I know that there's a lot of people who come to Ohio to fish on Lake Erie, and even residents. As a resident, you can buy your $19 fishing license and go fish on Lake Erie, which is like a prime fishing, freshwater fishing fishery where, I think you could easily charge an additional $20 Lake Erie, get an additional, 20 or whatever. Maybe it's even $5 Lake Erie stamp to be able to fish on Lake Erie. Your fishing license is a inland water fishing license, then you need to get a Lake Erie stamp.
I see.
Yeah. And I think just about any guy who went and fished on Lake Erie would easily pay an additional 5, 10, 20. It would be like getting a deer tag.
Any
You pay
idea
for
how
your
that?
license.
Yeah. Any idea how that compares to other states that have that have a border on the Great Lakes?
I don't. I really don't.
Okay.
I do know that this time of year, up on Lake Erie, there's a lot of hotels that are full with guys from Wisconsin, Minnesota, and then down south, Tennessee, Georgia, Kentucky. There's a lot of out-of-state people coming to fish on Lake Erie.
Okay.
So it also is a pretty powerful economic factor.
So I don't know, where do we go from here? We kind of summarized what we've seen as what to expect for budget increases and, sort of what that money is allocated for or why they need the increase, right? Any other comments on that? Wrap up?
I did want to touch on the youth a little bit.
Okay.
Ohio was a great bargain for youth hunting. I mean, fantastic bargain. Because currently non-resident youth hunters pay the same as a resident youth.
Okay.
As long as your sales agent doesn't make a mistake. Because there was some change in wording last year, I believe, that made a lot of the sales agents think that non-resident youth, that there wasn't any youth non-resident tag anymore. So they had to pay for a non-resident hunting license and a non-resident tag.
For an adult tag.
For an adult, which they've reclarified things this year, and it's the same as a resident youth. So I think a resident youth license is $10 or $15. And
For some reason, 12 is sticking in my head.
Okay, well, I know a resident or just a youth deer tag is $12.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's
Yeah, and with this budget increase, that will go up to $16. So there is going to be an increase on the youth as well for both deer tags and turkey tags, which I don't like to see, but it's still a bargain for resident youth, and it's a steal for non-resident youth.
Yeah.
So,
Jeff, are you completely sure that you're giving factual information? Because I just went on the ODNR website, and if you say you're not a resident of Ohio, it does not give you a youth option.
Are you a youth?
I guess I'm not. Maybe I need to change my date of birth.
Yeah. Well, let me go look at the. Give me 1 second here.
I mean, I'm not saying it's not true. I just want to make sure we're being factual.
In the rules and in the regs book, it says resident and non-resident youth 1 year hunting license $10. So
that's
yes,
the one they just published. That's this year.
They just published. Yes. Yep.
Oh,
this
good.
year's.
Cool. Because I know that was one of the big pushbacks or points of contention with this budget increase, is that it was going to eliminate youth opportunity. An out-of-state dad can't bring his kids, and it's going to basically eliminate more youth from hunting, which is not what we need. But that looks like they've addressed that, so that's good.
Yeah. And I'm verifying, and yes, with the tags it says youth permit, resident and non-resident.
Good.
So,
Cool.
Another strange thing I found with this additional tag increase is that senior tags were not affected at all, which I thought was very interesting.
I saw that too.
I don't know. I don't know why they decided to do that.
Let's speculate. Because why not? It's a podcast. We can do whatever we want.
Right. But it seems real strange that a guy who's taking his 9-year-old out deer hunting is going to have to pay more for a tag than what's the senior age? Is it 65?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well,
I'm
let's just say
I'm far from a senior, so I've not paid attention to what the age is.
But, I mean, I understand that seniors are a lot of times on a fixed budget, but so are kids, kind of. Kids typically don't have any money of their own.
Well, and a lot of people are on fixed incomes and fixed budgets. I mean, I don't buy into that, really. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of people that live paycheck to paycheck and don't have extra money to throw around, so I don't really necessarily buy into, like, oh, they're on a fixed income. So is everybody else.
Well, maybe as a devil's advocate, maybe they've paid their money then. They've been on this earth for whatever it is, 65 years. They've already paid their money to conservation.
Could be. We can that holds a little more weight and is a little more plausible.
You like that better?
That. Yeah, I can follow that. That doesn't chafe me as much. But I still don't really understand why they get a pass, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, if anything that I've learned from doing these interviews with people from the Division of Wildlife or the ODNR is that it's not an arbitrary decision. Somebody somewhere thought about, especially the fact that everything else went up except for sort of thing like that. I highly doubt it was like, oh yeah, we forgot about seniors. Well, they'll just stay the same price. I highly doubt that's what happened. So it feels like it was an intentional decision we are going to leave those prices where they are for some reason that isn't blatantly obvious to us at the moment.
I would guess, personally, I would say that it's probably such a minute number of sales that it wouldn't make sense to even mess with it, because the few people that you would end up preventing getting tags or whatever licenses, tags, would give you more negative publicity than the income or the revenue from increasing it. That would be my guess, is that they looked at it and their total number of senior sales doesn't make it, that's one thing we can leave the same to show that we're doing the old guys a favor type thing and get the good publicity from that, or the good vibes, since everyone else is going to be mad at us for jacking our prices up.
Or could it have something to do, and again, this is all just speculation, but the average age of hunters continues to go up, right? So we're not recruiting new hunters, and the people that are hunting continue to get older. And so maybe they're not ready to potentially lose senior hunters until they've done things to replace them with youth hunters. And so they're going to leave those tags alone.
Yeah. And what else just clicked in my head was it really wasn't too long ago that they did away with free senior licenses and free senior tags.
Oh yeah.
So because, it's probably a hard pill to bear, to swallow, that, they got away, they did away with the free senior license before I, became a senior. So now I have to pay every year, and now you're trying to increase the tag, so that could be, they could have a viable reason to kind of complain there that, they were working towards this free, where I could hunt for free, and then they changed that rule. So now I have to pay every year, because I think it's, if you were born 37, if you were born in 37 or sooner, then you're free. Anything after 37, you have to pay the senior price.
Okay.
So 1937 or later. So someone who's born in 1938, who's 1 year off, probably has a reason to complain.
Yeah. So interesting things to kind of speculate on, I guess. So if you guys don't have anything else, I don't have anything else. I think this has been kind of an interesting sort of roundtable BS session about budget and sort of the exciting news of our new website. So if you guys have any closing thoughts before we shut it off?
I don't think so. Go check out our new website. We put a lot of time into it, so we hope you guys like it.
Yeah, I mean, check out the website. If there's anything that I guess you don't see on there that you wish you did, let us know. Like I said, we put a lot of thought and time into creating it, so we think we covered everything, but obviously there's always a chance we might have missed something that you guys might be looking for, but just let us know if there's anything that you'd like to see different. Like I said, our goal is to provide news and information for Ohio hunters. We hope that's kind of a good landing spot and a place where you can direct people to kind of get that information, or people that may or may not listen to the podcast. You can direct them there as an easy place for them to find the podcast. Because like I said before, our main goal and mission when we started this thing was to just get good quality, factual information out to the hunters, specifically in the state of Ohio.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to end. Like you said, if you want other information on there that's not on there, let us know. Shoot us an email, shoot us a message on Facebook, Instagram, whatever, and let us know. And with that, just want to say thanks for listening.